I'm Jim Barry. Your official station for Super Bowl 41 is CBS 4.
Good morning, South Florida. Good to be with you as always this morning. I'm Danielle Knox.
And I'm George Estevez. Let's take a look at the stories we're working on this hour.
First this morning, the Florida Gators make history in a virtual blowout. The Gators take home the National College Football Championship. And it's an all-out frenzy in Gator country, as you can only imagine, where the parties are just wrapping up at 4:59 in the morning. We have live team coverage.
Other news to get to, a South Florida woman faces a local police detective who she says killed her father in a hit and run. We're live this morning with what she's demanding now.
A convicted child killer heading back to court. What he's telling a judge 11 years after the murder of Jimmy Rice. In a live report.
Some of the priciest real estate in America goes up in flames. I'm Christina Penza in Malibu. I'll have that story coming up.
And taking a live look outside right now, there's a chilly change coming. How long will the temperatures last? Your weather station and Pamela Wright has the answer.
So get your news and get out the door right now with half the commercials.
Live. This is CBS 4 News This Morning.
It is 5 o'clock on the dot, Tuesday, January 9th.
Yes, from team coverage on the Gator win to live reporters out west covering that fire.
Oh, boy.
Of course, to live local stories here. A lot going on a Tuesday morning.
Absolutely. Pamela Wright is here to kick things off now with a cool down coming. Hey, Pamela.
Hi there. Good morning. Feels pretty good out there this morning. You're not going to need a big jacket, but you're going to notice a change in the breeze. And for the first time in a long time, we have 60s all over the map this morning instead of the mid-70s. So you'll feel a little bit of a change, and as the day progresses, that change will make itself more obvious. In the lower keys, still in the low 70s, but you have been at 77, 78, so that's a big difference. And then look at this, 30s and 40s across northern Florida, and that's the breeze that will be filling in coming down out of the north. Well, we got a few sprinkles at least as the front went through yesterday. It is out of here for now, but we still have some high clouds around the state, and over the next couple of days, those clouds could be the only thing that is sort of the bummer in all this, whether how much sunshine we'll really be able to get. Cooler air has filled the southeast. There's sort of a reinforcing shot of cool stuff to come in. So we have a colder night tonight. So we'll talk about that coming up. Breezy clearing going on this morning, staying comfy and cooler. Look at this, our high temperatures for a change in the lower 70s. So it will feel very good out there. We'll talk about our chilly night tonight and what's ahead for the weekend. See you in a little bit. Mark Henry, get us to work on the Tuesday morning.
Hey, I'm working on it, Pamela. Well, we're taking a look outside right now. Dolphin Expressway, eastbound, not looking too bad out there. Got a pretty easy ride ahead of you. Coming out of Southwest Miami-Dade, approaching the Palmetto Expressway. Still looks like a real smooth commute. Now, if you're heading westbound, you got enough room to go bowling out there. Not a whole lot going on. Lots of open lanes and lots of room. Just give yourself a nice, easy ride out there this morning. Also on the Palmetto Expressway, looking good in both ways, northbound and southbound. I'm Mark Henry, CBS 4 News Traffic Control.
5:02, the showdown in the desert turned out to be a blowout for the Gators.
It certainly did. The Florida Gators chomped on the Ohio State Buckeyes in a win that stunned the nation. CBS 4 Sports Director Jim Barry begins our team coverage in Arizona to show you how they did it.
Well, here in Arizona, it was all Florida Gators last night as Florida thumps Ohio State 41-14 to be crowned kings of college football, and they do it in very convincing fashion. As we go to the highlights, the players converge at midfield before the start of the BCS title game. 16 seconds into it, the Gators are behind. Ted Ginn Jr. of Ohio State catches it at the 7, and he is off to the races. One quick move down the sideline, 93 yards. Ohio State leaps to a 7-0 lead, but the Gators do not flinch. Quarterback Chris Leak, who was steady as she goes all night, comes right back, hits Dallas Bacon for the tying touchdown. It's 7-7. The Gators then bolt to a 21-7 lead as they keep it on the ground. Deshaun Wynn going in as the Gators assume command. Then a gift from Ohio State's Heisman winner, Troy Smith, coughs it up deep in his own territory just before halftime. The Gators say, we're going to take advantage of that miscue. Tim Tebow throwing it, not running it, to Andre Caldwell. Gators lead 34-14 at halftime. Then their defense would do the rest. Tim Tebow would score again from a yard out, and that would account for the final score. All that was left to do for the Gators was to celebrate and hoist the trophy as they win it all, 41-14.
It was kind of surprising that nobody gave us a chance, you know. Nobody was talking about us before this game, you know, the media, you know, everything we watched on TV. So we just took it upon ourselves to come out and show them, you know, how tough a conference the SEC really is.
We played very well. You play defense like that, you don't lose. And our defense played, but I got news, our defense did that all year against some great teams.
I'm just so proud of, you know, how hard we worked over the 4 years and that we finally got to this point, that we took advantage of this opportunity.
And so the Gator players get to celebrate with their fans. As you see, the swamp has come here to Arizona, and they're going to go back to Gainesville happy because the Gators are the champs of college football. I'm Jim Berry, CBS 4 Sports This Morning.
And our team coverage on the Gators National Championship continues this morning. Gator fans that couldn't get away to Glendale for the big game watched it all from Gainesville. And that's where CBS 4's Ted Scouten is live this morning. He stayed up all night to catch the celebrations. Ted, when can you get some sleep?
You know, I don't know, but I hope it's soon. I have been up all night, so if I babble a little bit, you'll have to understand and forgive me. But boy, what a party it was here. You know, and as a matter of fact, this whole street out here was an absolute mess because folks were out here until just a little while ago. I was going to say that everyone pretty much went home about an hour ago or so, but there's still a few people who are out here right now. But boy, folks had a great time.
We're number one! We're number one!
Even before the end of the game, Gator fans knew they had this one all wrapped up. Then the moment everyone was waiting for. The Gators are the national champs, and the fans came running from all directions. The crowd was growing bigger by the second, everyone here to celebrate a hard-fought victory. With this many people squeezed into just a few blocks, there were a few tense moments, like this fire in the middle of the crowd. And look at this, people climbing way up into the trees, shaking high above the ground. Across the street, these guys shook the tree so hard, it finally fell down. For others, it was a climb up streetlight poles, but no one making it up the traffic signals. The poles were greased. For the most part, this was a crowd of excited fans having a great time celebrating in the street.
We're all from Miami Beach, the three of us, and it's great to be a Gator. This is the best time to be a Gator.
And even while all the celebrating was going on outside, stores were busy stocking shelves with victory hats and shirts. It's an exciting time for Gator fans. They have rare bragging rights. They're national champs not only on the football field, but on the basketball court as well. A little fact no one here will let anyone forget for a long, long time. You know, you just can't get enough of that. Well, now, this is what it's all going to be about today. See this right here? This is the National Championship T-shirts. As we said, they started selling them early this morning, probably about an hour or so after the game was over. So that's what everyone's going to be looking for today. Also, folks, obviously going to be very excited to welcome the team home. We're live in Gainesville. I'm Ted Scouten, CBS 4 News This Morning.
All right, Ted, thank you very much. And for complete coverage of the big game, you can pick up a copy of today's Miami Herald. You can also go to miamiherald.com and CBS4.com, where the news is always on.
It's 5:07 right now. Today, a Miami-Dade police officer is charged with leaving the scene of a crash that killed a South Florida grandfather. When the officer bonded out of jail last night, the victim's family was there to confront him. CBS 4's Yusila Ramirez live for us this morning at Miami-Dade Police Headquarters with this story. Good morning, Yusila.
Good morning, George. And the victim's daughter says she is looking for justice. That Miami-Dade detective is now charged in the fatal hit-and-run accident last year. He surrendered last night, or yesterday rather, at the Broward County Jail, and the victim's family made sure they confronted that detective.
He is my best grandpa and the last one I had, and he died.
7-year-old Jenna Jones has some great memories of her grandfather, Rick Nye. It's obvious she's heartbroken.
I wish that he was alive and I could continue with how much fun I had with him.
58-year-old Nye was on his way to work last October. He was in his 1992 Chevy Blazer in the westbound lanes of 595 when he was rear-ended near the 136th Avenue exit.
Which threw my father's car into the guardrail, and it flipped and he was ejected, and then he was ran over by multiple vehicles.
Investigators say the driver that hit Nye's Chevy Blazer was this 1998 Lexus, which belongs to Miami-Dade Police Detective Michael Alayon. He's now been charged with leaving the scene of a crash involving a death. Nye's daughter, Candy Jones, confronted Detective Alayon, who posted bond. You can see her here on the cell phone camera.
This is Mr. Alayon walking out of the jail after he bonded out, coming down the stairs.
At the bottom of the stairs, a waiting car. Following Alayon out is Nye's daughter, who confronts the detective.
I ask him how does he feel about killing my father, how his Christmas was, and how he can live with himself.
And?
No comment, poker face.
And he walked right by you?
Walked right by me.
And when you see this happening, you see him driving away, what are your thoughts?
My thoughts are that he couldn't even respond to us, show any kind of remorse.
Alayon was charged after a 3-month-long joint investigation, which included the department he worked for, Miami-Dade Police. Candy Jones says no matter what, Alayon will eventually have to see her face to face.
I'm going to see that justice is done in my father's name, and I will follow it to the end.
Now, investigators say Detective Alayon not only left the scene of an accident, but he also tried to cover it up by reporting his car stolen during a burglary at his house the night before the accident. He is now out on bond, and he faces up to 30 years in jail if convicted. That is the very latest outside the Miami-Dade Police Headquarters. Yusila Ramirez, CBS 4 News this morning.
The time right now is 5:10. The war in Iraq hits home this morning as a South Florida family grieves the devastating loss of a loved one. 35-year-old Timothy Weiner from Tamarack was killed Sunday, the victim of a car bomb. Weiner was an Air Force tech sergeant, and his job was to dismantle bombs. He was scheduled to head home in just a few weeks. He leaves behind a wife and a 16-year-old son.
We have video now from a wildfire out west. You really just have to see. Someone lives there in that house. At this hour, it's under control, but not before destroying mansions in Malibu. CBS 4's Christina Penza live for us in Malibu now to show us the flames. Christina, what's it like out there right now? You can probably still smell it.
Oh, you know, George, you really can still smell a bit of it. They have it 100% contained, but you can see the wind blowing through my hair. Also low humidity that has not been a friend to firefighters as they work to contain this fire. As I said, 100% contained. This is Malibu, home to celebrities. A lot of people would love to live here. This is the scene of some of the priciest real estate in the country. Well, today, some of those expensive homes have turned to ashes.
Stop it. And then, but you can see flames just shooting out of these beachfront homes, and firefighters doing what they can to contain it.
Santa Ana winds quickly swept the Southern California wildfire into an exclusive Malibu celebrity enclave.
It was an inferno, absolute inferno, just a wall of black. It was very scary.
The neighborhood is going to look pretty much like a war zone.
Even in the morning darkness, the beachfront community already did. The fire destroyed 4 multi-million-dollar homes and left 4 others badly damaged.
Well, I've heard some rumors, but I don't want to say who. You know, they are celebrity homes, and I've heard some names, but I don't want to put that out until we have authority to do that.
You see here what's left of what was once a beautiful beach house and the car that was parked in front of it.
Fire helicopter.
With the help of water-dropping helicopters, about 300 firefighters fully contained the blaze in a few hours.
I'm on Malibu Road right now. They said there's gas fires on Malibu Road and they won't let me come down the road.
Gas fires remained a concern throughout the night, but early on residents were evacuated and only one person was treated for smoke inhalation. Robert Brown, whose home was saved, says his mother was inside when the fire broke out.
Most important thing is that she's safe, that everybody's out, everybody's been evacuated, and everybody's safe.
A fire danger warning had been posted for much of Southern California because of gusty winds and low humidity. And the area is being treated as a crime scene while arson investigators look for the cause. Christina Penza, CBS 4 News this morning.
Some flames out there.
Just absolutely amazing.
5:13 right now. Coming up in 15 minutes this morning, you're going to hear from the men detained after a misunderstanding at the Port of Miami. Why they say the language barrier they faced was not their fault.
And still ahead for you in less than 10 minutes. If you think studying is enough to help kids score well on tests, think again. What else plays a role coming up?
And right after the break, drinking tea instead of coffee is beneficial. We know that, but what you're adding to your tea could take those benefits away.
Did you know that 38 million Americans experience hunger or at risk of hunger?
And the U.S. has the highest child poverty rate of any other industrialized nation.
But did you also know that $1 can provide 8 meals to hungry people?
This Super Bowl weekend, South Floridians will work together to fight hunger in our community.
Through the Super Bowl of Caring, you can help, $1 at a time.
One person can make a difference. Please join the team.
Antiques are unique, and the older they get, the more valuable they become. See thousands of these treasures at the internationally acclaimed Original Miami Beach Antique Show. Discover paintings, sculptures, fine silver, exquisite furniture, and more. Over 1,000 exhibitors bring their collections from as far away as Paris, London, Vienna, Tokyo, Buenos Aires, and Sydney, Australia. Leading antique dealers buy here, and so can you. The Original Miami Beach Antique Show in the Convention Center. It's here at last. See you there.
People everywhere flipping for all-you-can-eat pancakes at IHOP. We'll bring you stack after stack of our famously fluffy buttermilk pancakes till you've had your fill. And try our rich, robust coffee, and you'll flip too. All-you-can-eat pancakes with all your favorites from just $5.99. For a limited time, only at IHOP. Come hungry, leave happy.
Do you suffer from severe premenstrual symptoms every month? If so, it could be more serious than just typical PMS. If you experience severe emotional or physical distress prior to menstruation, you may be eligible to participate in a research study being conducted in our area to evaluate an investigational medicine for severe PMS symptoms at no cost to you. See our website at www.womenshealthtrials.com or call 1-888-561-3939.
On Donner, on Blitzen, on Comet and Cupid.
Yeah, you know, I only get the reindeer once a year. The rest of the time I drive. Santa doesn't like people that don't let him merge. Yeah, I just recently got the Sun Pass, and I'm really excited about having it. I like saving money, I must admit. Sun Pass allows you to save money when you go through the toll booth, so it pays for itself.
When you hear that little beep,
it's like Christmas.
Get the gift of Sun Pass at Publix or CVS Pharmacy.
This traffic report is brought to you by Miami-Dade Expressway Authority, MDX, delivering improved mobility for you.
I'm Kim Bokamper. Your official station for Super Bowl 41 is CBS 4.
Just after 5:15 in the morning, and Pamela Wright is here with a look at our forecast, and it is a cool change.
Yeah.
Not cold. It feels great.
Absolutely not. This is the morning we get it going. That breeze has changed, but we are about 7 to 8 degrees cooler than yesterday morning, so it's a start. And tonight, you will notice it.
Okay.
So let's take a look at the numbers and what's going on out there this morning. Happy to say, not a whole lot. We got a little bit of rain as the front went through last night, but things really quite tranquil here compared especially to what that front brought to the entire East Coast, actually. Very wet. All right, what about the numbers then this morning? We have been closer to the mid to upper 70s, so here we are. 64 outside of weather control, 65 Miami at the airport, Fort Lauderdale at 67, and still very mild in Key West at 70 degrees. Comfortable on the stickiness scale. That is another big thing we're noticing this morning. The dew point temperatures, the moisture in the air really being bumped out of here by our changing breeze. Winds are calm for now, but the breeze is more out of the northwest. All right, what about the radar picture for this morning? Well, here's where we were yesterday about dinner time or so, with the very light precip around. A more solid line as this the front itself has now pushed offshore, so we'll keep an eye on that. And spotty stuff. Overall, rain is not a big threat. Now, the problem sometimes with this, when we get the cooler air and then it switches around and comes in from the ocean, it can deliver quite a bit of cloud coverage. So that's something that we're watching for the next couple of days. But as our day progresses, things overall will brighten up because our breeze is going to more and more come out of the northwest. west. Also, as far as the clouds go, the water vapor is showing upper level winds drawing right in over us, not with abundant moisture in the higher levels of the atmosphere, but we're not in the reds either, the really dry stuff. So clouds will be part of the day today, so gray at times with that cooler breeze coming in. Now tonight, with those clouds thinning out and that breeze staying around, we have quite a chilly start tomorrow, breezy and dry, and then let me show you the upcoming weekend. 73 our high today, so a big difference after our lower 80s around. It will be breezy and pretty comfortable through the day today. Boaters, well, not so comfortable with that northerly wind staying pretty strong and seas responding 3 to 5 feet up to 8 feet in the Gulf Stream, so be very careful there. Moderate chop on the bay waters. Nice and cool tonight with low 50s around, but colder upper 40s well inland. So certainly that'll be the coolest spots to be found. We'll be well away from the coastline. So look at us tomorrow, staying again only in the lower 70s after a morning that will start out close to 50. If you are well away from the coast, we could find some upper 40s, but 50s will be for most of us tonight, tomorrow night, and then temperatures really essentially getting back to normal quickly for the weekend. But normal is just wonderful for us this time of year.
Even this is wonderful. I'm going to enjoy this next couple days.
Good.
Thank you, Pamela. Well, 5:19 is the time right now. Let's see if you're enjoying your commute out there on the roadways or will enjoy it when you head out the door. Here's Mark Henry. Mark?
Well, I guess that kind of depends on what kind of car you're driving, but other than that, you got a pretty easy ride no matter where you are. Dolphin Expressway, eastbound and westbound, still looking like a pretty smooth commute coming out of Southwest Miami-Dade, approaching the Palmetto. Not a whole lot of problems there. Now your westbound lanes, again, pretty close to deserted at this time. Palmetto Expressway itself still looking like a pretty smooth ride. If you're going to be heading southbound anywhere between the big curve and the airport, should have a pretty straight shot of it so far this morning. Northbound lanes still doing okay. We've got a little bit of congestion around Coral Way, but nothing to really make you late for anything. 95 north and southbound right around the Golden Glades interchange. Both directions here doing just fine. Northbound lanes and southbound lanes. Southbound lanes actually heading away from you there. Looking like a real smooth commute. I'm Mark Henry, CBS 4 News Traffic Control.
5:20 is the time right now, and Dr. Sean's medical file this morning. Obesity isn't just a problem for adults. A new study says many young girls begin battling obesity as early as the age of 9. In fact, the rate of girls becoming overweight at this age is greater than teens and younger kids. And researchers say 9 to 12-year-olds who pack on pounds are much more likely to carry that weight into adulthood. Well, how do you like your tea? German researchers say if you want the health benefits of tea, hold the milk. Studies show drinking tea can reduce the risk of heart disease and stroke, but adding milk eliminates tea's protective effect. Scientists say certain proteins in milk decrease the amount of the compounds in tea that boost protection against heart disease.
And now Sunshine's consumer alert this morning at 5:21. Drinking soda will soon cost you more. Prices for soft drinks in the United States are expected to rise because of higher costs for aluminum, corn syrup, and concentrate. Consumers can expect at least a 4% increase in prices, although it will vary from city to city.
Well, when kids take a test in school, how well they perform depends on more than just how hard they've studied. It also depends on how they see themselves. CBS 4's Joy Purdy has more about the power of stereotypes in this morning's Connect with Kids.
9 times 4. Why do girls think they do worse in math than boys?
Guess because it's very confusing. Maybe because they were under pressure or they felt like they weren't as good as everybody else.
In a recent study, college students taking a math exam were divided into two groups. In one, the students were reminded of how smart they must be to attend a good private college. But the second group was reminded of the stereotype that females aren't as good at math.
When we introduced the idea that there may be gender differences in the exam, we saw some dramatic decreases in the women's performance.
In other words, when the girls thought about gender, thought about stereotypes, they became anxious and their math scores went down.
And because they're fighting with that anxiety and that distraction, sometimes almost even at an unconscious level, having to compete with that and do the task decreases their performance.
That's why experts say it's important for girls to have a counterweight against gender stereotypes, and that comes from parents and teachers.
Having a positive relationship increases what they call the resiliency against that negative stereotype.
He says parents can warn their daughters about stereotypes, explain that they're often false and always generalizations.
You'll hear this sometimes, that women don't do well in math, or there are no women in sciences, but you're learning for you. You're learning because you like math, you like science, it's fun for you, and encourage them in that way.
Joy Purdy, CBS 4 News This Morning.
It is 5:23 right now. Coming up all new at 5:30 this morning, the chicken did more than just cross the road. CBS 4 is taking you inside this bizarre story and the details behind the chicken crash.
But first, stuck in Florida, at least for now. What's next for 3 Muslim men after a security scare at the Port of Miami? The details are next.
Here's a look at Wall Street. CBS 4 News This Morning with half the commercials is coming right back. Keep watching.
Better Business Bureau members like these pledge to stand behind their products and services, making it easy to find a company that you can trust. When researching companies, you'll want the Better Business Bureau's Buyer's Guide. Sponsored by
Mother's Care Doula Services, First Response Group, Springs Roofing Corporation, CSI Carpet and Tile, Health Plan Network, G&S Marble.
You can rely on members of the Better Business Bureau.
You know, WFOR-Ch is much more than a toy store. Oh, WFOR-Ch has lots of things to put some fun in your life. Fun you can share with your entire family. Like plastic and die-cast models, crafts and puzzles, science kits, helicopters and trains, Department 56, and of course, Thomas & Friends wooden trains. Don't forget RC boats, cars, and planes.
So you own the place, right?
Yes.
Can I live here?
No. Yeah. WFOR-Ch Hobby Superstore. It's much more than a toy store.
What ages you most? It's not just wrinkles. It's dullness, discoloration, and brown spots. Retaliate with new Olay Definity Deep Penetrating Foam. It penetrates multiple surface layers to fight the look of dullness, discoloration, and wrinkles in just 8 weeks. For skin so luminous, it's highly defined. New Definity Foam by Olay. Definitely love the skin you're in.
Colleen and Maureen are identical twins, have identical cars with identical auto body damage. They typically do everything together, with few exceptions. Colleen uses Maaco, and Maureen another auto body shop in town. The results, both cars look great, but Colleen's car was repaired faster and cost $400 less. On average, Maaco repairs cost 33% less than at body shops and car dealers. For quick service, great prices, and guaranteed seamless repairs, better get Maaco, America's Cosmolution specialist.
See thousands of antique treasures at the internationally acclaimed original Miami Beach Antique Show in the Convention Center. Leading antique dealers buy here, and so can you. See you there. I'm Jill Martin. Your official station for Super Bowl 41 is CBS 4.
5:26 is the time right now. This morning, 3 Muslim men detained after that security scare over the weekend at the Port of Miami say it wasn't their fault.
A language barrier led to a misunderstanding, but the men say they weren't the ones who couldn't speak English. CBS 4's Tiffany Hellberg has more on a story you saw first on 4.
My family, especially my wife, she was crying.
Fresh out of jail, Amar Al-Haddad is overcome with emotion as the 3 Muslim men describe the past 24 hours.
Stop if you want. Yeah, excuse me for a minute. It was like hell, honestly.
Handcuffed, arrested, and thrown in jail, not to mention questioned as possible terrorists.
Like animals, we were treated like animals. At first, we didn't know why we getting arrested until we got to the county jail.
Amar drives a truck for a Detroit, Michigan company. He was dropping off a load of auto parts at the Port of Miami Sunday when security raised the red flag.
We've been humiliated, disrespected, treated really badly, just because my name is an Arabic name and I'm a Muslim.
Monday, a judge dismissed charges against the 3, and now Miami-Dade police say it was all a misunderstanding, hampered by a language barrier.
Up to this point, due to miscommunication between gate security personnel and the truck driver, we believe there was a discrepancy in the number of people in the vehicle attempting to enter the Port of Miami. He was asked and he stated that he was by himself.
But you heard the three men speak fluent English. They say the language problem might have come from the port security guard. And what about the claim that Amar said he was by himself?
Which is a lie. He did not say that. Because me and him were sitting right there. And if he said nobody in the truck, how they can't see me sitting in the front seat? I mean, I was in the passenger seat. I must be invisible.
And Monday, more misunderstandings at the Port of Miami as a package set to load onto Royal Caribbean's Majesty of the Seas appeared to have tested positive for explosives. But in the end, the bomb squad exploded the pallet of box springs, telling us it was a false alarm. There were no explosives. Port of Miami security director says the two incidents do not show a negative trend.
Travelers can rest assured that there will be a decisive and a positive reaction in response to these types of potential threats.
And this morning, the Council on American Islamic Relations says it's calling for an investigation into what happened in the trucking incident. They're also looking into the possibility of a lawsuit. At the Port of Miami, Tiffany Helberg, CBS 4 News this morning.
Well, 5:29 is the time right now. All new for you this morning at 5:30. A convicted child killer forcing South Florida parents to relive a nightmare.
And I'm Nefertiti Jacquez, live outside of the Metro Justice Building, where the man who killed Jimmy Rice back in 1995 is heading back to court to ask for a new trial. I have the latest on this story coming up.
A risky rescue when a construction worker falls more than 60 feet. How the roof he landed on actually saved his life.
The saga heats up. Now Rosie O'Donnell says she knows why the Donald is coming after her. Plus hear her new nickname for the real estate mogul. If you're not talking about it already, because they certainly are, this is one you'll likely be talking about today.
A new half hour of CBS 4 News this morning with more news, weather and traffic, and only half the commercials starts right now.
Now, live, this is CBS 4 News This Morning.
All right, it's 5:30, Tuesday, January 9th. Good morning to you, South Florida. Good to be with you. I'm Danielle Knox.
You made it through Monday? Now it's Tuesday. I'm George Estevez. So glad you're here. Pamela Wright's got some good stuff to talk about in weather control.
George, have you confirmed that?
That we made it through Monday?
Yes, and that it is Tuesday?
That's questionable.
Yes, okay. You know what? Yesterday morning, we were about 10 degrees above normal. This is my attempt to do some math, so this is going to throw everybody off. The fact this morning that we're about 7 or 8 degrees cooler than yesterday, we're still above normal. All right, the cool down is still coming, is basically what I'm trying to say. Here we are this morning in the mid to upper 60s. Closer to 60 would be the norm. So we feel good this morning, and we're looking at things that overall look pretty good. We're going to notice some clouds coming in our direction, especially high, thin clouds up the state a bit. But the cooler air certainly made it in there with temperatures in the 40s. Key West at 70 degrees, but this time yesterday and several days before, you were closer to 80. So again, it's a start, okay? And as the day goes on today and the front continues to pull away and the breeze continues to come in mostly from the north, that cooler air will fill on in. So our high temperatures will likely be held into the lower 70s for today. So that will be a big difference. And tonight, with all this cool air continuing to fill in and clearer skies, tonight will be the coldest night of the week. So just how low will the numbers go? We'll talk about that. I may attempt more math, and we'll enjoy today in the lower 70s. Okay, Mark Henry, you have some numbers for us.
We do, actually, good numbers, which are good. Right now, there's not a whole lot going on. 95 north and southbound right around Cypress Creek Road. Good number there is 55, which is going to be the speed you're going to be traveling. Just keep it at 55. It's always a good number. Both directions here looking like a real easy ride on 95. Now north and southbound around Griffin Road, not doing too bad into and out of Hollywood and into and out of Fort Lauderdale. Still got a real smooth commute. Looks like things are getting a little bit busier, though, heading northbound and 95 north and southbound around the Golden Glades interchange. Both directions here doing just fine, trouble-free, and up to speed. I'm Mark Henry, CBS 4 News Traffic Control.
Now we'll look at your top stories at 5:32. The Florida Gators are national champs. They dominated Ohio State in last night's BCS title game, winning 41-14. Gators quarterback Chris Leak was named MVP, throwing for 213 yards and a touchdown. Florida now holds the national championship in both football and basketball. The first time that's happened, by the way, at a Division I school.
A Miami-Dade police detective has surrendered on charges that he left the scene of a deadly hit-and-run accident. Detective Michael Aleon is accused of slamming his Lexus into a Chevy Blazer driven by 58-year-old Rylan Nye in Davie last October. Nye died in that wreck. Alayan was confronted by the victim's family but had nothing to say. He is also accused of filing a false stolen vehicle report to cover up the crime.
A U.S. Air Force gunship has conducted a strike against suspected members of al-Qaeda in the African country of Somalia. The targets included the senior al-Qaeda leader and an operative wanted for his involvement in the 1998 bombings of those two American embassies in Africa. There's no confirmation, though, if the attack killed the two suspected al-Qaeda members.
And in Malibu, California, a wildfire fanned by Santa Ana winds destroyed 4 seaside homes and significantly damaged 4 others yesterday. Flames scorched multi-million-dollar beach homes. More than 300 firefighters and helicopters battled the blaze, which started about 5 o'clock. One person was hospitalized for smoke inhalation.
Well, today, a new twist in the story of Jimmy Rice. Now the man convicted of raping and killing the little South Florida boy is heading to court, hoping to get a new trial.
I remember when he went to trial 11 years ago, and it seems like only yesterday for a lot of people, especially his parents, Jimmy Rice's parents. This latest twist is like reliving their son's death. CBS 4's Nefertiti Jacquez joins us live from Miami with their reaction. Has to be horrible for them, Nef.
Well, Danielle, actually, they're pretty disgusted that justice has not been served for their family and having to relive this all over again. Juan Carlos Chavez, the man who raped and killed Jimmy Rice back in 1995, is still fighting the battle to appeal his death sentence. Today, his legal team will try to prove that the defense that handled his trial back then was incompetent, something Jimmy's parents say is untrue and downright painful.
In the abduction.
It was more than 11 years ago, homicide detectives led Juan Carlos Chavez to the Dade County Jail. Chavez would be later convicted of murdering 9-year-old Jimmy Rice. He kidnapped the boy, raped him, and shot him dead when he tried to run. Then months later, Jimmy's book bag was found in the ranch hand's trailer in Redland. Chavez confessed to the crimes, even detailing how he dismembered the boy's body and buried the remains in concrete. He was sentenced to die. But later on today, Chavez will be in a Miami-Dade courtroom asking for a new trial. For Jimmy's parents, it prolongs their wait to see Chavez executed.
It just doesn't seem like it's justice for Jimmy that this man has lived already since he killed Jimmy longer than Jimmy lived his whole life.
We've waited 11 years, over 11 years, for final justice, and it feels like we've got as long to go as we've already come.
Chavez claims his attorneys failed him in his murder trial and states that he had an ineffective defense counsel. The argument may be strengthened by a former assistant public defender who once suggested the office did not fight hard enough in Chavez's defense for political reasons.
Hogwash. Hogwash. I was there in the courtroom. I don't know how they could have been more vigorous and more aggressive than they were.
Indeed, Chavez's attorneys challenged his confession as coerced, and they attacked the physical evidence. They argued someone else killed Jimmy Rice. The jury bought none of it, nor have the appeals court, so now Chavez goes after his lawyers.
I think that justice for Jimmy is a long time in coming.
And old wounds are reopened for the parents of a little boy who would have turned 21 3 months ago.
Each year, you think this is the year you would have done this or done that, graduated from high school, graduated from college, and just it eats at you.
And while Chavez continues to appeal, Mr. and Mrs. Wright continue their efforts to help the victims of sexual predators. If you'd like to learn more about the Jimmy Rice Center, just log on to our website at cbs4news.com, where the news is always on. We are live from Miami this morning. Nefertiti Jacquez, CBS 4 News.
All right, Neff, thank you for that story. It's 5:37 right now. We're getting our first look this morning at the surveillance video that shows a man intentionally driving through the gates at BSO's main jail. It shows 28-year-old Darren Brown driving a Chevy into the jail's West Sallyport gate over the weekend. Charges are pending against Brown. He has previous arrests, including drug-related charges. 4 children had to be hospitalized after being attacked by bees in Margate. The kids, who were between the ages of 8 and 12, were playing outdoors when they ran into a cypress preserve area that's off limits. At one point, they got near a bee's nest and they were stung and chased by the bees. This is the second such attack, by the way, in recent weeks.
Well, 5:37 is the time right now. Nearly 20,000 students will be required to switch schools in 2007 as part of Miami-Dade's largest ever redistricting effort. 19 new schools will open over the next 2 years, redrawing attendance boundaries on more than 90 of its 350 schools from Homestead to Aventura. Officials are hoping the change will better utilize under-enrolled schools, shorten commutes to school, and comply with the state's class size mandate. You can read more about the redistricting effort in today's Miami Herald or on the web at miamiherald.com.
It is 5:38 right now. Early voting is already underway for the Miami-Dade Strong Mayor Initiative. On the ballot is an amendment that will decide whether to extend Mayor Carlos Alvarez's responsibilities and restrict the responsibilities of the county manager. The election is set for January 23rd. For more information on where you can get your vote in early, log on to our website, CBS4.com, where the news is always on.
A risky rescue was caught on camera after a construction worker falls 6 stories in Fort Lauderdale. CBS 4's Maribel Rodriguez shows you how firefighters had a pretty tough time during the rescue.
Officials tell us that construction worker was all alone on the top floor of that building getting ready to lay the bricks when something went wrong and he fell on the roof of the building, which is just next door. They also tell us he was wearing a safety harness. However, he wasn't connected. When rescue crews arrived, they knew getting him down wouldn't be easy. That construction worker's leg was impaled into the roof of the connected building after he fell some 60 feet. He was unconscious and not responding. Austin Brock was standing outside of his building just a few yards away from the site and saw it all. He says he couldn't believe what he was seeing.
Real disturbing. I was just watching the guys work, and just all of a sudden that guy just a flash, and he was out. Down the side.
Elijah Adams, who's in the construction business, says the building actually saved his life because the roof is much softer than concrete. He too was nearby and was shocked.
Thought it was a block fail, because we used to seeing stuff fall, and we thought it was a block, and like I said, we realized it was a guy that fell off the 7th story there.
Now to the hard part, getting him down. Fire officials say they had a hard time rescuing him because of his condition and where he was. They had to use a ladder, rope, and basket to hoist him to safety, and what made it even more difficult, all the power lines in the way.
As you can see, it's not a very easy rescue. We got power lines and a building here, so we had a very, very challenging rescue here on our hands today.
And for Linda Maddox, who was sitting outside of her porch when the worker fell, watched the rescue in anguish as images of him falling kept playing in her mind.
I was standing with 2 witnesses, and I said, look at that man falling out that building. He came down like an umbrella.
Crews slowly brought him down, and just before he was placed on the stretcher, a good sign, he moved his hand. And that construction worker was transported to Broward General Medical Center, officials tell us, in critical condition. In Fort Lauderdale, Maribel Rodriguez, CBS 4 News.
At 5:40 this morning, let's take a look at news happening across America. In North Carolina, a truck overturned and left chickens all over the road. The driver fell asleep carrying 4,200 chickens. All the northbound lanes had to be shut down while another truck came by to pick up the chickens. No one was hurt. A pizza parlor in Texas is now accepting Mexican pesos as payment. An official with Pizza Patron says it makes sense since they cater to mostly Hispanics, some of whom travel back and forth between the U.S. and Mexico. Pizza Patron says the peso policy also sets the franchise apart from the competition in a very competitive pizza industry.
Interesting. Wonder if they take wooden nickels. I have some of those.
It's 5:41 right now. Coming up in less than 10 minutes this morning, we're talking about the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame and how it's getting a little bit bigger. Did your favorite band get a nod?
All right, before we leave you for a break, here's a look at school lunches for students in both Miami-Dade and Broward County. Miami-Dade is back in school, as is Broward. What are you going to have, George?
I want pizza, so I'm not going to have anything. You in Broward?
Okay, let me head up to Broward then. Let me do, the sweet potatoes and the Jamaican beef patty. We'll cross all the spectrums.
We'll be right back.
It'll be very universal.
Transcend the daily commute. The Acura RL with real-time traffic.
Start saving for your child's college education today. Open a Florida prepaid college plan and lock in your child's future. Tuition plan prices start at less than $25 a month.
When you want the whole story, count on the combined resources of CBS 4 News and the Miami Herald, South Florida's most powerful news gathering partnership.
Football fans, step off the sidelines and get into the game. The NFL experience built by the Home Depot is coming to Dolphin Stadium. Take part in Pro Football's interactive theme park with over 50 games, exhibits, and attractions included in one price of admission. The whole family can throw a pass, announce plays, field a punt, or dive into the end zone to score the winning touchdown. Tickets are $15 for adults, $10 for kids under 12. Call 866-TICKS-4-NFL or log on to superbowl.com to get your tickets. This is your Super Bowl.
Want to own a real piece of America? Now is a great time to buy land. And the people who attend the public land auction at the Miami Beach Convention Center Thursday, January 25th and Saturday, January 27th should find some amazing bargains.
Nobody cannot find something that really fits within their price range.
We got a great deal for 2.5 acres of land.
LandAuction.com owns clear, titled land all over the country and passes the savings on to you. No brokers and no commissions.
You can get property 20%, 30% below retail.
Pre-register and research right online and at the auction. Making the right investment is easy.
This is my first time and it was so easy.
There's no obligation. We'll even finance right at the auction. So call 800-599-3555 or pre-register free at landauction.com. And come to the auction at Miami Beach Convention Center Thursday, January 25th and Saturday, January 27th.
Landauction.com.
I'm Jim Barry. Your official station for Super Bowl 41 is CBS 4.
Pluto is finally getting some respect, not from astronomers, but from wordsmiths. Pluto was chosen 2006's Word of the Year by the American Dialect Society at its annual meeting on Friday.
Yes, to Pluto, by the way, is to demote or devalue someone or something. Much like what happened to the former planet last year when astronomers decided Pluto didn't meet the definition of a planet. And this is from that American Dialect Society, 117 years old. So they know,
They would know
what they're talking about.
I like it.
Have you been Plutoed?
No, but winter has been. It has been demoted or promoted to spring.
Right.
Overall. Yeah. But
that would be Saturnized if it got promoted.
You think so?
I think.
Nice. Definitely not earthed.
We're going to get a taste of winter again, our version of it, and we like that. This morning, it feels good. Yeah, it hasn't dramatically dropped off, nor did we expect it to just yet. Tonight is going to be your coldest night. Today, during the day, you're going to feel a change in the winds, and it is going to feel very good. All right, nice outside this morning. We do still have quite a bit of cloud coverage around, and that's one thing we'll be battling over the next few days, just the amount of sunshine that we'll be able to get in here. But let's see what's going on around the country. Another little shot of cold, dry air coming down out of the northern plains. That'll help just reinforce everything and give us a good dry couple of days out of this. Significantly cooler. Remember, it was closer to 50 in New York City yesterday in the past several mornings, now into the 30s. Awful story with the fires out west. That has been a big danger. It continues to be very dry and very warm. Mid-60s overnight in Southern California. This time of year is very warm. We do find clear skies out there. The Santa Ana's holding on for another day, but beginning to let up a bit. And winter, though Plutoed, is coming back to some parts of the country, and we see some flurries flying this morning into the Ohio Valley and towards the East Coast as the day goes on. Now, the true view is very optimistic here, but we have clouds around to get you going, and then a cooler breeze fills in today and tonight. So that means tomorrow morning, a very chilly start to the day. Could find some upper 40s well inland, low 50s even right at the beach. So with a breeze, that certainly will feel chilly to you. We'll stay dry through the day tomorrow. But again, the clouds, a little iffy with this setup, whether they'll thicken up a little bit. So we'll watch out for that, but we wouldn't expect a whole lot of rain. That steady sea breeze stays with us, and in fact, pretty windy, especially offshore as we get towards the end of the week. What about the weekend? weekend. Nice and warm. Temperatures rebound nicely and not much more than a stray shower, and we'll be eyeing another front. But I can tell you, as we look towards Monday, because it's Martin Luther King Day and many of you will have the day off, it does look like it's going to stay pretty warm. Okay, 73, comfy, cooler, breezy picking up through the day today. Small craft advisory with that strong northerly wind, especially in the Gulf Stream, 8 to possibly 10 feet later this afternoon. Nice and cool for all of us tonight, mostly in the lower 50s, but colder well inland with a few 40s showing up on the map. So that'll be a big difference if you're going to stand out at the bus stop tomorrow morning. So we'll stay in the lower 70s today, tomorrow, back to the upper 70s by Friday, and we'll hold in that range with some pretty good winds coming in, though, for the upcoming weekend, keeping some clouds in there because at times they'll still be kind of thick, but temperatures will be quite comfortable if you're ready for a cool down.
49 is chilly.
49 is downright cold.
It is.
But yeah, we'll probably just hit it for a minute, but
that minute will be cold.
There you go.
Thank you, Pamela.
Yeah.
5:49 right now. Hopefully you'll spend less minutes on the roadways. Here's Mark Henry.
See, now Pamela was really good. She could tell us exactly when that minute's going to happen, and then we could run out there and enjoy it and then run back in the house. But,
you couldn't afford me if I could do that.
Exactly. Yeah, Brian called. Anyway, taking a look at the Dolphin right now. Eastbound and westbound still looking like a pretty easy ride. Eastbound lanes heading out of Southwest Miami-Dade. Still pretty smooth commute for you as you approach Palmetto Expressway. Westbound lanes doing just fine. Actually pretty much deserted on the Dolphin right now, but the Palmetto starting to build up a little bit. Southbound lanes between the big curve and the airport starting to show just a little bit more activity. And 95 north and southbound around the Golden Glades interchange. Both directions here still doing just fine. I'm Mark Henry, CBS 4 News Traffic Control.
At 5:49 in this morning's Money Watch, keep your eye on the Gap.
Shares of the retailer rallied more than 10%. It's been reported that the company has hired the investment firm Goldman Sachs to consider a possible sale or other dramatic changes. The Gap has been struggling to move merchandise.
Telecom giant Sprint Nextel is planning to cut up to 5,000 jobs. The company suffered a loss of roughly 300,000 monthly subscribers last year. The company's stock plunged more than 8%.
Earnings season kicks off on Wall Street today. Aluminum giant Alcoa is first to show investors its profit report card. Analysts expect Alcoa to provide some insight into the length and severity of the current manufacturing slowdown.
In this morning's Eye on Entertainment, the class of 2007 Rock and Roll Hall of Famers are busy preparing their acceptance speeches. On the list, R.E.M., Van Halen, Grandmaster Flash, and the Furious Five. Also, the Ronettes and Patti Smythe will all be inducted in March in New York. All five will also perform, by the way, on induction night.
The 8-year-old daughter of crocodile hunter Steve Irwin is set to kick off her American showbiz career this year. Little Bindi Irwin will star in a 26-part series called Bindi, the Jungle Girl on Discovery Kids Network. She'll also team up with the Wiggles for some dance acts. Bindi captured the hearts of people all around the world when she spoke at her dad's funeral after Steve Irwin was killed by a stingray in September.
Some new details to this story. Rosie O'Donnell is now hitting back at Donald Trump. She says Trump is obsessed with her, and he can't resist talking about her because of the way she looks. Rosie says she finds it amusing, really, when people tell her she's fat, as if she didn't know. She also says she really hit a nerve with Donald and calls him a comb-over bunny. Trump and O'Donnell, by the way, have been exchanging insults since Rosie criticized Donald for giving Miss USA a second chance to keep her crown last month after some underage drinking situation. So
I just think it should just go away. I think it's just been prolonged.
I think it's fun.
Do you?
Yeah, it doesn't involve me. So I like to sit back and watch.
I guess so. It reminds me of being in the house with my 5-year-old and 3-year-old, though.
Yeah. Only with more hair. Yeah.
Or, well, 5:52 is the time right now. You don't want to miss a new hour of CBS 4 News this morning. Coming up for you at 6:10, skyrocketing insurance is taking its toll on South Florida homeowners and renters alike. Consumer investigator Al Sunshine has the tips you need to cope with the insurance hurricane crisis.
At 6:49, is Apple getting ready to change the face of tech toys again? CBS 4 has the scoop behind a big announcement expected today from the computer giant. Those stories are new. You can't wait. Log on to CBS4.com. The news is always on when you get to work.
Just ahead here for you in the 5 o'clock hour, South Florida residents getting their chance to keep their homes. What a city commissioner is doing now that means a major victory for Miami's shantytown.
Your watching CBS 4 News This Morning, South Florida's fastest growing morning newscast.
Nobody can do what Maaco does. Maaco can repaint your entire car fast. In most cases, just a few days. Our economical ambassador paint service is only $229. Make it easy, make it right, make it Maaco.
At the Miccosukee Resort, there's so much to do, I don't know where to begin. Everyone's a winner at the Miccosukee. Everything looks so good. Miccosukee Resort and Gaming, so much to do, so little time. I guess I'll just have to come back for more.
Kevin Charles Fine Upholstery is now available at City Furniture. Each sofa is handcrafted with care, using interlocking hardwood frames, the finest foams, and the most luxurious fabrics. The result is a sofa that sits as good as it looks. You deserve the best. Kevin Charles Fine Upholstery, available exclusively at City Furniture.
You know, WFOR-Ch is much more than a toy store. Oh, WFOR-Ch has lots of things to put some fun in your life. Fun you can share with your entire family. Like plastic and die-cast models, crafts and puzzles, science kits, helicopters and trains, Department 56, and of course, Thomas & Friends wooden trains. Don't forget RC boats, cars, and planes.
So you own the place, right?
For 35 years.
Can I live here?
I thought you did.
If you see news in the making, dial star CBS 4 on your Metro PCS cellular phone. The CBS 4 News Tip Line is sponsored by Metro PCS. Permission to speak freely.
Monster Jam, brought to you by Vance Autobus and Ford Trucks. 12 monster trucks, including El Toro Loco and Grave Digger. Plus a record-setting Suez Spiral car jump attempt. And more. And kids seats are still just $5. February 17th, Dolphin Stadium.
Mr. Food is brought to you by IHOP. Come hungry, leave happy.
Well, not sure what to make for dinner tonight?
Mr. Food has a tasty spin on an old favorite, shepherd's pie soup.
The housewives of 18th century England were as desperate as we are today to stretch food budgets. That's how shepherd's pie came about. Yeah, you know, layers of ground meat and veggies, mashed potatoes. It was someone's way to use up leftovers. I mean, the first versions were made with lamb because of the abundance of sheep, and that's why the name shepherd's pie. Nowadays, though, it's often made with beef. Now, to put a new spin on it, watch. In a soup pot, you brown a pound of ground beef over medium-high heat for 8 to 10 minutes, you know, till no pink remains. Then we drain off the fat, add 5 cups of water, 2 cans of condensed beef broth, a package each of frozen diced potatoes and frozen mixed vegetables, a teaspoon of onion powder, and a half teaspoon each of salt and pepper. And you let that simmer for about 15 minutes. Then you stir in 2 cups of instant potato flakes just to thicken it up. A few more minutes on the heat, done. Is that easy enough? And there's no rules either. We can use any brands we'd like, and we can alternate the ground meat, like maybe use lamb or pork. And when we ladle this into bowls, just like a lot of the 18th century housewives did, we top it with some cheese. Then you pass out the spoons. But keep one for yourself to enjoy the heartiness. And if you'd like the recipe, it's online, or send a self-addressed stamped envelope marked Shepherd's Pie Soup to me, Mr. Food, here at the station, where every housewife or house husband can be a lot less desperate at dinner time with an easiest pie way to bowl them over with a heaping bowl of, ooh, it's so good.
5:57 is the time right now. How good is it out on the roadways, Mark, Tyler, Henry?
Well, not too bad out there just yet. 95 north and southbound around the Golden Glades. Still looking like a pretty easy ride. Got a pretty good run of it between 151st Street and 79th Street if you're heading southbound. Northbound lanes look like getting a little bit more activity, but still nothing that's going to make you real late for anything anyway. Also taking a look at 95 north and southbound around Griffin Road. Look like a pretty easy ride there. Now, we do have an accident reported 95 southbound at Hollywood Boulevard. Just give yourself a couple extra minutes through that area. And on 95 north and southbound around Cypress Creek into and out of Pompano, still looks like a real trouble-free ride. I'm Mark Henry, CBS 4 News Traffic Control.
At 5:57, a victory for people living in Miami's shantytown.
Dozens of people will not be forced from their homes. CBS 4's Art Barron is in Liberty City to show you why.
It says when they try to hold you down, you have got to get up.
And when they try to hold you up, you have got to get down. You've got to take the bitter and make it sweet. You have got to take the bread and make it meat.
58-year-old Gypsy Bird recites a few lines from poetry he writes. Has lived most of his years on the street, suffers a debilitating bone disease that makes it hard for him to walk. But at least he has a place to rest. He lives in the Umoja village shantytown.
Live in peace and, have something to eat and, help each other,
But the 40 or so folks who live here could have been displaced, sleeping under bridges, had Miami City commissioners considered and eventually approved an upcoming item, an ordinance to shut down the shantytown village. The ordinance was pulled from the January 11th agenda after a flurry of emails and phone calls and from a little pressure from attorneys representing the shantytown.
Major defects in that ordinance, and I do think that's one of the reasons why they pulled it back, is they were aware that there was a legal team poised to defend the shantytown in that way.
The legal team cited legal protections afforded in the landmark 1998 Pottinger settlement, allowing people to assemble on public land, live there if they have no other place to go. For now, Matt Ramu of Take Back the Land says promises to build affordable housing here can't be taken seriously and wants the shanties to stay.
This is what we want here. We know that the county, Miami-Dade County, has misspent millions of our dollars, and we don't trust them to build anything. So we're not asking them to build anything, we're not begging them to build anything, and we're asking them not to come here and make us promises and steal our money.
So for now, folks like Gypsy Bird can rest his bones in a place he can call home and continue writing poetry.
Don't be your brother's keeper, be your brother's brother. And let your heart be as light as a feather, because the spirit of love, it is going to last forever.
City Commission could find other ways to shut down this shanty town. That's why many here are cautious about their victory. Still, there will be a celebration rally here this Thursday night. It's very latest out here in Liberty City. Art Barron, CBS 4 News this morning.
Well, 5:59 is the time right now. Here's a look at the stories we're working on for 6 o'clock.
First this morning, the Florida Gators are making history today in a virtual blowout. The Gators take home the National College Football Championship. And it's an all-out frenzy in Gator country where the parties are just wrapping up. We have team coverage.
And in other news this morning, a South Florida woman faces a local police detective who she says killed her father in a hit and run.
And that detective turned himself in and is now facing some very serious charges. I'm Yusila Ramirez outside the Miami-Dade Police headquarters. I'll have that story for you up next.
Whether you rent or whether you buy, high insurance costs are hitting your wallet. We're going to tell you what elected officials are doing to help you out.
Hey, good morning. Pamela Wright here. The first cold front of the new year. So where's the cold? I'll show you. See you back in just a minute.
And fierce fires tear through Malibu, destroying million-dollar homes. We're live with what crews are doing to get these Malibu fires under control.
Get your news this morning with half the commercials. It starts right now.
Live. This is CBS 4 News This Morning.
The time right now, 6 o'clock. It's Tuesday, January 9th. Good morning, South Florida. Good to be with you. I'm Danielle Knox.
And I'm George Estevez. Pamela Wright's here now to talk about this cool down that she just alluded to seconds ago. It's coming our way.
Yes, it is. Hi there. It is. And this morning it feels great, but we have been so above normal with our morning lows starting out nearly, a good 15 degrees above the norm. Now that we've cooled down a good 10 degrees, temperatures are still above normal, but we're on the right track with temperatures in the lower to mid 60s at least instead of the 70s. Now down through the Keys, we've still been holding on to 70 degrees, but you've been closer to 80, so it's a very pleasant morning out there. We do still have quite a few clouds over the state, not big rainmakers, but the clouds are the thing the next couple of days that could be somewhat tricky, could be quite cloudy at times, but again, any showers would be pretty minimalized. Here we are with temperatures significantly chillier across northern Florida, and really that cool air is just beginning to fill in. So through the day today, you're going to feel that cooler change. Again, the upper level winds will continue to draw in some moisture in the higher levels of the atmosphere. Not a lot, but just wanted to show you we're not all clear as far as that goes. So again, cloudy at times through the day, and then chillier times in the deep south, and that means we benefit. Tonight will be the coldest night. I'll talk to you about that coming up. Breezy clearing through the day today. Highs only in the low 70s, so that's a big change. Okay, how much can we break things up in traffic? Mark Henry's going to let us know.
Well, actually not too bad out there right now. 95 north and southbound. Well, right around Cypress Creek, actually pretty easy ride, pretty smooth in both directions. Northbound and southbound lanes getting by okay. Same thing on 95 north and southbound around Griffin Road, although we do have an accident to deal with. 95 southbound at Hollywood. It's pretty much off to the shoulder. I'm Mark Henry, CBS 4 News Traffic Control.
Well, 6:03 the time right now. The showdown in the desert turned out to be a blowout for the Gators.
The Florida Gators make history after beating Ohio State. The Buckeyes in a win that really stunned the nation. CBS 4 Sports Director Jim Barry begins our team coverage now in Arizona to show you how they did it.
Well, here in Arizona, it was all Florida as Florida thumps Ohio State 41-14 to be crowned kings of college football, and they do it in very convincing fashion. As we go to the highlights, the players converge at midfield before the start of the BCS title game. 16 seconds into it, the Gators are behind. Ted Ginn Jr. of Ohio State catches it at the 7, and he is off to the races. One quick move down the sideline, 93 yards. Ohio State leaps to a 7-0 lead, but the Gators do not flinch. Quarterback Chris Leak, who was steady as she goes all night, comes right back, hits Dallas Bacon for the tying touchdown. It's 7-7. The Gators then bolt to a 21-7 lead as they keep it on the ground. Deshaun Wentz going in as the Gators assume command. Then a gift from Ohio State's Heisman winner, Troy Smith, coughs it up deep in his own territory just before halftime. The Gators say, we're going to take advantage of that miscue. Tim Tebow throwing it, not running it, to Andre Caldwell. Gators lead 34-14 at halftime. Then their defense would do the rest. Tim Tebow would score again from a yard out, and that would account for the final score. All that was left to do for the Gators was to celebrate and hoist the trophy as they win it all, 41-14.
It was kind of surprising that nobody gave us a chance, you know. Nobody was talking about us before this game, you know, the media, you know, everything we watched on TV. So we just took it upon ourselves to come out and show them, you know, how tough a conference the SEC really is.
We played very well. You play defense like that, you don't lose. And our defense.
On Sunday, they are on the same journey, sharing the same space. In the womb, multiples. Before they are born, they connect. Using four-dimensional technology, revolutionary new imaging devices clearly capture them, touching, kicking, pushing, even reacting to each other. For the first time, showing that their behavior in the womb can be carried over into childhood, laying the foundation for life together. The stories and the science behind the ultimate marvel of human reproduction. Identical twins, triplets conceived on different days, even quads, reproductive miracles occurring in only 1 in 64 million pregnancies. Revealing a hidden world. Their first moments together, now seen for the first time. In the Womb, Multiples. Premieres Sunday at 8 Eastern, 9 Pacific. On the National Geographic Channel. Dare to explore.
And even while all the celebrating was going on outside, stores were busy stocking shelves with victory hats and shirts. It's an exciting time for Gator fans. They have rare bragging rights. They're national champs not only on the football field, but on the basketball court as well. A little fact no one here will let anyone forget for a long, long time. Wasn't that a huge party? 15 to 20,000 people. That's the estimate of how many people were actually out here. Now today, this is going to be the big deal here. Getting these shirts that says National Champions. They're already on sale, and there's going to be a lot more of these coming around today. Also today, big news here is the Gators will be coming home. They're expected around 6:15 this evening, so a lot of people obviously very excited to greet them. We're live in Gainesville this morning. I'm Ted Scouten, CBS 4 News this morning.
All right, Ted, thank you. See the benefits of staying up all night? You get the first pick of the T-shirt. Complete coverage of the big game. Pick up a copy of today's Miami Herald. You can also go to MiamiHerald.com and CBS4.com, where the news is always on. It's 6:08 right now. Today, a Miami-Dade police officer is charged with leaving the scene of a crash that killed a South Florida grandfather. When the officer bounded out of jail last night, the victim's family was there to confront him. CBS 4's Yusila Ramirez is live now at headquarters with the story. Yusila, good morning.
Well, the victim's daughter, George, Candy Jones, says that she is looking for justice. The Miami-Dade detective turned himself in yesterday, and he's now been charged in that fatal hit and run last year. He surrendered at the Broward County Jail, and Candy Jones was right there and followed him out.
He is my best grandpa and the last one I had, and he died.
7-year-old Jenna Jones has some great memories of her grandfather, Rick Nye. It's obvious she's heartbroken.
I wish that he was alive and I could continue with how much fun I had with him.
58-year-old Nye was on his way to work last October. He was in his 1992 Chevy Blazer in the westbound lanes of 595 when he was rear-ended near the 136th Avenue exit,
which threw my father's car into the guardrail, and it flipped, and he was ejected, and then he was ran over by multiple vehicles.
Investigators say the driver that hit Nye's Chevy Blazer was this 1998 Lexus, which belongs to Miami-Dade Police Detective Michael Alayon. He's now been charged with leaving the scene of a crash involving a death. Nye's daughter, Candy Jones, confronted Detective Alayon, who posted bond. You can see her here on the cell phone camera.
This is Mr. Alayon walking out of the jail after he bonded out, coming down the stairs.
At the bottom of the stairs, a waiting car. Following Alayon out is Nye's daughter, who confronts the detective.
I ask him how does he feel about killing my father, how his Christmas was, and how he can live with himself.
And?
No comment, poker face.
And he walked right by you?
Walked right by me.
And when you see this happening, you see him driving away, what are your thoughts?
My thoughts are that he couldn't even respond to us, show any kind of remorse.
Alayon was charged after a 3-month-long joint investigation, which included the department he worked for, Miami-Dade Police. Candy Jones says no matter what, Alayon will eventually have to see her face to face.
I'm going to see that justice is done in my father's name, and I will follow it to the end.
Now, investigators say the detective Alayon not only left the scene of the accident, but he also tried to cover it up by saying his car had been stolen during a burglary at his house the day before the accident. Again, he turned himself in yesterday. He's bonded out, and he faces up to 30 years in prison if he is convicted of this crime. That is the latest outside the Miami-Dade Police Department. Yusila Ramirez, CBS 4 News this morning.
It is 6:11 right now. Whether you're a homeowner or a renter, skyrocketing insurance bills are hitting you hard.
That's absolutely right. CBS 4 consumer investigator Al Sunshine has been following the state's growing insurance crisis for more than a decade now. He has more on what the state is doing to help get insurance premiums under control.
The Consumer Federation of America charges that the insurance industry nationally reaped $30 billion in homeowners insurance profits last year alone by allegedly overcharging customers and underpaying claims. Not surprisingly, the industry denies it and claims it can't afford the growing cost of hurricane coverage here and needs more money from Florida's property owners. And it's spawning a huge political fight in Tallahassee next week as more and more residents say they just can't afford to live here anymore.
It's not just the past few years worth of bad weather generating all the buzz. Skyrocketing insurance bills are now making some state lawmakers even think about moving.
I used to pay $330 a year right after Andrew, and I'm up to almost $4,000. That's a major. I can't afford to live here in Dade County anymore.
Hello? And he's not the only one. Miami-Dade teacher Bert Laughlin says she's being priced out of her home, too.
I think it's terrible. I haven't made a claim since Hurricane Andrew.
Right before the holidays, she got scrooged by her insurance company after faithfully paying those bills for 30 years. And what'd you finally get in the mail?
A letter saying, "You are hereby notified that your insurance under the above policy will expire at 12:01 a.m. Standard Time on March 13th, and will not be renewed due to the following: Florida Exposure Reduction Program." And when I called them, they told me, "Too bad, your insurance commissioner approved it."
Like millions of homeowners statewide, she's desperately seeking affordable insurance. How much you think your new homeowners insurance could cost you?
Probably double.
$6,000. How are you going to do it?
I don't know. I may have to sell my house.
And all over South Florida, for sale signs have been sprouting up like weeds.
And all of a sudden they're dropped and they have to go out in today's market and buy insurance, and that's when they say, well, I can't afford this insurance.
Insurance industry insiders say the big bills follow $31 billion in storm-related losses over the past 3 years.
Initially, rates were depressed on homeowners' policies. Then all of a sudden, all these storms came in 04 and 05, and everybody got extremely nervous, realized what could happen, and they, of course, pulled out and raised rates dramatically.
And to cut back those dramatic rate hikes, state lawmakers are now getting ready for a special legislative session opening next week in Tallahassee. It's aimed at making homeowners insurance more affordable.
And there isn't a single member of the Florida House or Senate, whether they're a Republican or a Democrat, that are not going to want to go home with a victory for their consumers.
One of the most discussed plans, a state-run reinsurance program offering cheaper disaster coverage to the industry in the hopes the savings would be passed along to consumers.
So when the state gets involved, first of all, they don't have to make a profit or pay dividends, and they don't pay taxes, and they can raise money if they need to much more cheaply than the private sector does.
Some critics now argue there's not really a homeowners insurance crisis at all. The real problem, affordable windstorm coverage. A possible solution, allow private insurers to unbundle windstorm from their policies, at the same time restructuring Florida's Citizens program. Supporters say that could cut rates by turning Citizens into a true nonprofit insurer for everyone statewide. Simple economics, spread the windstorm risk to more policyholders, at the same time cutting back the industry's reinsurance costs.
So is there a homeowners insurance crisis or not?
No. No, if you can break out the homeowners portion, meaning fire, theft, vandalism, and liability coverage from the windstorm coverage, you'll have plenty of carriers that are willing to write homeowners insurance in Florida.
Like so many other residents, Bert Laughlin's heard the call for insurance reform before, and like so many others, she's being priced out of the state.
But what's going to happen when no one wants to insure anyone in Florida?
Do you think we're close to that now?
Oh yeah, definitely. They can pick on me, they can pick on anybody.
Now, if you'd like more information how to find affordable insurance, just surf over to our CBS4.com website. We'll also have a CBS 4 Wants to Know questionnaire that you could fill out. I'm Al Sunshine, CBS 4 News This Morning.
And we know how concerned you all are and how you're being hurt by the deepening hurricane insurance crisis. And that's why we are devoting an entire week to shining light on the problem and what's being done to fix it. You can look for consumer investigator Al Sunshine's reports all week long right here on CBS 4 News, first at 5 and then on CBS 4 News at 11 o'clock this evening.
And then next week, CBS 4 will be in Tallahassee when the Florida legislature convenes in a special session to tackle the state's insurance crisis. Look for Brian Andrews' live reports right here on CBS 4.
We're talking about how all of our families, we all know somebody who's been touched by this, whether it's us, our family members. And
it's
just
every economic level. I mean, it's all relative, but it's, you know, it's one of those, something's got to give, it seems like, you know.
Well, we were lucky that we had a pretty good, very good hurricane season this year. And we're having very good weather now because that cool down. For me, the key was when I turned on the water to wash my face this morning and it was cold. That's when I know that it's
that a change has come. Exactly. We'll wait till tomorrow morning. Little chilly face. Okay, let's take a look. It's nice this morning. Temperatures, you know what they're doing right now?
What?
They're just trying to get down to normal is what's going on. And it does look like, though, over the next couple of days, we'll have a few brief moments of temperatures below normal. So here's our nice view this morning. Nothing too exciting going on. Thankfully, no rain for you to get through. And it is a little cooler. Temperature still a little above normal, but we had a long way to go. We've been a good 15 degrees above the norm the last several mornings. So we'll start you out this morning with some clouds around, but not worried about any rain, and temperatures from Pembroke Pines at 64 to 66 in Coral Springs and on over to Pompano Beach and Deerfield Park this morning as well. Deerfield Beach. All right, 65 Miami at the airport, 64 in Homestead. West Kendall, not a big difference for you for a change. Our trusty cool spot in the lower 60s, low 70s down into the Keys, but those temperatures are dropping already this morning. High clouds on the upper level winds. We do see those around the state, and you'll notice that around this morning as well. But temperatures continue to fall. There's another little reinforcing shot of cool air coming in. So Tallahassee has now dropped to 37 this morning, 42 in Gainesville. So just keep on coming down the peninsula, and that's what we expect to feel today. So a cooler, dry breeze coming in. There will be clouds around, but nice breaks of sunshine, and even with that sun, we're going to stay in the lower 70s the next couple of days, so finally below the norm. Quite chilly to get you going tomorrow morning. Late tonight and tomorrow morning will be the coldest period with mostly low 50s around, and that'll be a one-day deal, that low 50s. So I'll show you. All right, a steady sea breeze developing later on in the week. So more of an easterly wind, of course, means not as cold of temperatures, but keeps things pretty settled. We don't expect much more than a stray shower for the upcoming weekend, and that will hold into Monday, which is a holiday, Martin Luther King Day. So we will keep things mostly dry, looks like. All right, 73 today with breezy clearing and just some of those high clouds around. So very comfy and notably cooler, especially this evening. Small craft advisory with that northerly wind at 15 to 20 knots. So that stays strong. Seas stays up, so probably not your best day out there. From the low 50s at the beach to colder inland with a few upper 40s to be found. And again, that will be our coldest night. Still quite cool for the next couple of evenings. It'll feel really nice, but temperatures warming back up, and our daytime highs in the upper 70s to right around 80 for the weekend. That's, that's nice. That's just a little above the norm. It's our overnight lows that have really deserved the attention because they just don't go down. I mean, around 60 would be our norm, and look, we're not going to be anywhere near that again by the end of the week.
So we're normal during the day, we're just not normal at night.
And that can lead to problems,
It's like a personal problem.
Yeah. During times of full moon.
It's 6:21 right now. What do you say we go outside and see how normal the traffic pattern is this morning? Hey, Mark.
Hey, good morning. Well, taking a look outside, Dolphin eastbound starting to get a little bit heavier. You can expect delays between Galloway and Red. As you approach Palmetto Expressway, things getting a little bit sticky. Definitely give yourself a little bit more time. Now, your westbound lane's not doing too bad. It's like a pretty easy ride there. Also taking a look at 95 north and southbound around the Golden Glades. Southbound lanes between 151st and 79th Street getting a little heavy. Can be a lot of stop and go there for you. I'm Mark Henry, CBS 4 News Traffic Control.
6:21 is the time right now. Coming up next, you will hear from the Muslim men detained after that misunderstanding at the Port of Miami. Why they say the language barrier wasn't their fault.
South Florida parents forced to relive a horrifying nightmare as their son's killer fights to save his own life. Keep watching.
On our next show, I'm completely torn between two men, but our relationship buddy Denny is making her get off the dime. Then, makeup shelf life.
I had this lipstick for 30 years.
What?
Rachel Ray, today at 3 on 4.
Where do you go to get your taxes done?
instant tax service. Come see us at a participating Check Cashing USA through the April deadline. Instant tax service. Get your cash back fast. Don't wait. Call 1-888-753-1040.
When it comes to cashing your tax check, you want your money now. Not tomorrow or the next day, but right now. At Check Cashing USA, we'll cash your check on the spot. For a Check Cashing USA near you, call 888-616-3510. That's 888-616-3510.
Well, I meet with citizens every day. They'll come in and they'll say, I have this problem. You're the elected official. You're the mayor. You've got to take care of it. Well, let me write this down, and I'll give it to the manager so that the manager can give it to an assistant county manager, and an assistant county manager can give it to a department director, instead of being able to pick up the phone and go straight to a department. By law, you have to go through these steps. I am convinced that we need to change because the current structure just doesn't work.
Still working on that?
No, I'm done. I was wondering, if we just...
Could have had a V8, 100% vegetable juice, with 3 of your daily vegetable servings in every little bottle.
On Donner, on Blitzen, on Comet and Cupid.
Yeah, I only get the reindeer once a year. The rest of the time I drive. Santa doesn't like people that don't let him merge. Yeah, I just recently got the SunPass, and I'm really excited about having it. I like saving money, I must admit. SunPass allows you to save money when you go through the toll booth, so it pays for itself.
When you hear that little beep,
it's like Christmas.
Get the gift of SunPass at Publix or CVS Pharmacy.
The age-old question, does my butt look big, look taller, leaner, just by what you wear? How to shrink your booty? The stars reveal the brand names of their favorite jeans.
They suck in all the fat.
Next, Oprah.
Today at 4 on 4. If you see news in the making, dial star CBS 4 on your Metro PCS cellular phone.
And now a quick look at some of our top stories at 6:24. The Florida Gators are national champs. They dominated Ohio State in last night's BCS title game, winning it 41-14. Gators quarterback Chris Leak was named MVP, throwing for 213 yards and a touchdown. Florida now holds the national championship in both football and basketball. That's the first time that's happened at a Division I school.
A Miami-Dade police detective has surrendered on charges that he left the scene of a deadly hit-and-run accident. Detective Michael Alayong is accused of slamming his Lexus into the Chevy Blazer driven by 58-year-old Ryland Nye in Davie last October. Nye died in that wreck. Alayong was confronted by the victim's family when he left court last night. He's also accused of filing a false stolen vehicle report to cover up the crime.
A U.S. Air Force gunship has conducted a strike against suspected members of al-Qaeda in the African country of Somalia. The targets included the senior al-Qaeda leader and an al-Qaeda operative wanted for his involvement in the 1998 bombings of 2 American embassies in Africa. There is no confirmation if the attack killed the 2 suspected al-Qaeda members. 6:25 is the time right now. The early show coming up in the next half hour.
Julie Chen joins us from New York City with a look ahead. Good morning, Julie.
Good morning, George. Good morning, Danielle. Good morning, everyone. We have a lot coming up on the early show. Malibu on fire. The California coastal community, popular with celebrities, was hit by huge brush fires on Monday. 4 mansions were destroyed and several others badly damaged. This morning, we'll get the very latest from CBS News correspondent Bill Whitaker, and we'll speak with the mayor of Malibu. In Health Watch, getting the most out of your annual physical exam. We're going to tell you the right questions to ask your doctor. And if you're planning your next vacation, don't fall victim to some common travel scams like bait and switch. Our Consumer Watch has advice. And we're going to take a look at the coolest cars at the Detroit Auto Show. And Oscar-nominated actress Emily Watson will be here. So all that and much more coming up on the early show. George, Danielle, back to you guys in Miami.
Looking forward to it. Thanks, Julie.
All right, it is 6:26 right now. Coming up still this morning, a man breaks into a Broward County jail. We're going to show you how he did it.
Also ahead this morning, looking to upgrade your iPod, we're going to take you to Macworld, where the head of Apple unveils the latest in tech toys.
Here's a look at Wall Street. Keep watching. We'll be right back.
People everywhere flipping for all-you-can-eat pancakes at IHOP.
We'll bring you stack after stack of our famously fluffy buttermilk pancakes till you've had your fill. And try our rich, robust coffee, and you'll flip too. All-you-can-eat pancakes with all your favorites from just $5.99. For a limited time, only at IHOP. Come hungry, leave happy.
When you want the whole story, count on the combined resources of CBS 4 News and the Miami Herald, South Florida's most powerful news-gathering partnership.
What ages you most? It's not just wrinkles. It's dullness, discoloration, and brown spots. Retaliate with new Olay Definity Deep Penetrating Foam. It penetrates multiple surface layers to fight the look of dullness, discoloration, and wrinkles in just 8 weeks. For skin so luminous, it's highly defined. New Definity Foam by Olay. Definitely love the skin you're in.
Since you were a child, you've been asked to share and share alike. Since, at heart, you're still a child, we invite you to share and share a love. To plan your perfect Cayman Islands vacation, including round-trip airfare from Miami, call 1-877-LIBERTY to book.
Shopping for a new bedroom suite? City Furniture is the ultimate choice. For just $6.99, you can get a great-looking bedroom suite. You'll love our selection of styles, all affordably priced and in stock. Plus, City Furniture now offers same-day delivery, 7 days a week, and no payments for 1 full year.
At CarMax, we know quality really matters once you get your car home.
CarMax backs up every used car we sell with a 5-day money-back guarantee and a limited 30-day warranty, so you get a car you can count on. CarMax, the way car buying should be.
What's important when you want to sell your car?
The facts. Just tell me what my car is really worth with no strings attached.
CarMax has appraised nearly 5 million cars and will buy your car even if you don't buy one of ours. CarMax, the way car buying should be.
You're watching CBS 4, your official station for Super Bowl 41. Now, live. This is CBS 4 News This Morning.
And good morning to you, South Florida. Good to be with you. I'm Danielle Knox.
And I'm George Estevez. Let's take a look at our top stories. A convicted child killer heading back to court, forcing South Florida parents to relive a nightmare.
And I'm Nefertiti Jaquez, live outside of the Metro's Justice Building. Why the man accused of killing Jimmy Rice is asking for a new trial. I'll have that story coming up in a live report.
Stuck in Florida, at least for now. Why 3 Muslim men at the center of a port security scare say the language barrier didn't come from them.
Some of the priciest real estate in America goes up in flames. I'm Christina Penza in Malibu. I'll have that story coming up.
And you can call them national champs. Thank you very much. The Florida Gators celebrate well into the night and the morning after blowing out the Buckeyes of Ohio.
Up in North Florida, somebody is celebrating probably right now.
6:30 in the morning.
Tuesday, January 9th.
Time to get you on your way and out the door. Here's Pamela Wright. We're celebrating a cool down, Pamela.
We are. We're celebrating, but we're not bundling up. Don't be confused. This morning, it feels great out there. Temperatures closer to normal, okay? That's the best we can do for now. We will continue to have the cooler air fill in as the day goes on. Our clouds are going to thin out, and tonight, you will definitely feel the change. Now, today, again, the clouds somewhat of an issue at times and could be over the next few days. A lot of times when we get this cooler air and it blows over the warmer Atlantic water, sometimes it keeps us grayer than we'd like. So that's the only, maybe downside coming up. But if things continue to stay clear, then certainly overnight we're looking at a big cool down. All right, it's already happened across northern Florida. 37 in Tallahassee this morning, 42 in Gainesville, and excitement all the way around in some parts of the state anyway. All right, with the high clouds, we are not talking about rain. We see where that cold front is. At least it kept going. Wasn't one that kind of died out over us as the last few have. So we go from quite cold to cool to pleasant for us, and the warm stuff is away, at least briefly. I'm going to give you a look into the weekend. We'll even talk about Martin Luther King Day holiday on Monday and what's coming up. But a cooler breeze today, but gray at times. Temperatures held into the lower 70s for the first time in quite a while. So enjoy that today, and we will be looking for our jackets this evening. See you in a little bit with more details on that this morning. Also helping you get to work traffic-wise. We'll be doing that throughout the morning as well. All right, Mark Henry, in fact, there you are.
Here I am, and 95 still looking like a pretty easy ride, although getting a little bit busier. Remember, Broward County schools are back in session today, so it's going to be add to your traffic out there, definitely. 95 north and southbound around Cypress Creek, both directions here into and out of Pompano Beach. Still looking like a pretty smooth commute. Not a whole lot to worry about there. Also taking a look at 95 north and southbound around Griffin Road. Getting really kind of busy if you're heading northbound on 95 approaching the airport area. You definitely want to give yourself a few extra minutes there and be prepared to hit the brakes as you approach the airport area. Now on the turnpike, we do have a crash southbound before 595. Looks like it left a broken vehicle. That's pretty much a broken down vehicle. It's on the right shoulder, so it shouldn't really tie you up too much. But again, that's on the turnpike southbound before 595. And also taking a look at 95 north and southbound around the Golden Glades interchange. Things getting heavy if you're heading southbound between 151st and 79th Street. A lot of stop and go traffic through the area. I'm Mark Henry, CBS 4 News Traffic Control.
All right, Mark Henry, thank you so much. 6:33, and we are celebrating.
Absolutely.
The Florida Gators are national champs. They dominated Ohio State last night's BCS title game. They won 41-14.
Yeah, I'd call that domination. And Gators quarterback Chris Leak was named MVP, throwing for 213 yards and a touchdown. Take a look. Florida's defense caused Ohio's Heisman Trophy winning QB Troy Smith to have his worst game of the season. Florida now hosts a national championship in both football and basketball, and that, by the way, is the first time that's happened at a Division I school.
And that's leaving Gator fans with plenty to celebrate this morning, many of them taking the party into the morning, especially up in Gainesville.
That's where CBS 4's Ted Scouten is live for us this morning. Good morning, Ted. You must be pretty exhausted,
Danielle.
though, right?
Well, you know, it was a very... What's that?
I was just saying, I was just thinking, an afterthought, you must be pretty exhausted right now.
Yeah, you know, I got to tell you, I am kind of tired. That's because it's been a very long night in Gainesville. A good night, but it was a long one nonetheless. Now, take a look at this video. You've got to see this video. It's so impressive to watch thousands of people from all directions running into this area of Gainesville right outside the university here on University Avenue. People were running from all over the place. They were coming from house parties, from bars. They were coming from the O'Connell Center on campus. Everyone just trying to get out here to that big party. In all, police estimate there were probably around 15 to 20,000 people who made it out here just into this one intersection. Now, granted, they spilled over a couple blocks in each direction, but it was a huge crowd, and for the most part, everyone was pretty well behaved, just excited about the championship.
We're all from Miami Beach, the three of us, and it's great to be a Gator. This is the best time to be a Gator. We're number one. We're number one.
There you see it, lots of very excited people. And you know, now what's the next exciting thing is that's going to be later on today, around 6:15 this evening. That's when the team is expected back from Arizona, and you can imagine that a lot of people are going to be very excited to see the championship team return to Gainesville. We're live in Gainesville. I'm Ted Scouten, CBS 4 News this morning.
They'll sleep all day and be back out tonight. All right, Ted, thank you so much. Stay warm, will you? For complete coverage of the big game, pick up a copy of today's Miami Herald. You can also go to miamiherald.com, and as always, CBS4.com, where the news is always on.
6:35 is the time right now. The war in Iraq hits home this morning as a South Florida family grieves the devastating loss of a loved one. 35-year-old Timothy Weiner from Tamarack was killed Sunday, the victim of a car bomb. Weiner was an Air Force tech sergeant, and his job was to dismantle bombs. He was actually scheduled to head home in just a few weeks. He leaves behind a wife and a 16-year-old son.
There's a new twist in the death of Jimmy Rice. Today, the man convicted of raping and killing the little South Florida boy is heading to court, hoping now to get a brand new trial. And this new development is especially tough for Jimmy Rice's parents. CBS 4's Nefertiti Jacquez joins us live now from Miami with their reaction to all this. Neff?
George, Juan Carlos Chavez, the man who raped and killed Jimmy Rice back in 1995, is still fighting the battle to appeal his death sentence. Today, his legal team will try to prove the defense which handled his trial back then was incompetent, something Jimmy's parents say is untrue and very painful.
in the abduction.
It was more than 11 years ago, homicide detectives led Juan Carlos Chavez to the Dade County Jail. Chavez would be later convicted of murdering 9-year-old Jimmy Rice. He kidnapped the boy, raped him, and shot him dead when he tried to run. Then months later, Jimmy's book bag was found in the ranch hand's trailer in Redland. Chavez confessed to the crimes, even detailing how he dismembered the boy's body and buried the remains in concrete. He was sentenced to die. But later on today, Chavez will be in a Miami-Dade courtroom asking for a new trial. For Jimmy's parents, it prolongs their wait to see Chavez executed.
It just doesn't seem like it's justice for Jimmy that this man has lived already since he killed Jimmy, longer than Jimmy lived his whole life.
We've waited 11 years, over 11 years, for final justice, and it feels like we've got as long to go as we've already come.
Chavez claims his attorneys failed him in his murder trial and states that he had an ineffective defense counsel. The argument may be strengthened by a former assistant public defender who once suggested the office did not fight hard enough in Chavez's defense for political reasons.
Hogwash. Hogwash. I was there in the courtroom. I don't know how they could have been more vigorous and more aggressive than they were.
Indeed, Chavez's attorneys challenged his confession as coerced, and they attacked the physical evidence. They argued someone else killed Jimmy Rice. The jury bought none of it, nor have the appeals court, so now Chavez goes after his lawyers.
I think that justice for Jimmy is a long time in coming.
And old wounds are reopened for the parents of a little boy who would have turned 21 3 months ago.
Each year, you think this is the year you would have done this or done that, graduated from high school, graduated from college, and just it eats at you.
And while Chavez continues to appeal, Mr. and Mrs. Rice continue their efforts to help the victims of sexual predators. If you'd like to learn more about the Jimmy Rice Center, you're urged to log on to our website at cbs4.com, where the news is always on. That is the very latest from Miami. Nefertiti Jacquez, CBS 4 News.
Well, 6:39 is the time right now, and we are getting our first look at the surveillance video that shows the man intentionally driving through the gate at BSO's main jail. Take a look and you'll see 28-year-old Darren Brown driving a Chevy Caprice into the jail's West Sallyport gate. Charges are pending against him. Brown, by the way, has previous arrests, including drug-related charges. Also this morning, 3 Muslim men detained after that security scare over the weekend at the Port of Miami say it was not their fault. A language barrier is what led to this misunderstanding, but the men are saying this morning they weren't the ones who couldn't speak English. CBS 4's Tiffany Hellberg has more on a story you saw first on 4.
My family, especially my wife, she was crying.
Fresh out of jail, Amar Al-Haddad is overcome with emotion as the 3 Muslim men describe the past 24 hours.
Stop if you want. Yeah, excuse me for a minute. It was like hell, honestly.
Handcuffed, arrested, and thrown in jail, not to mention questioned as possible terrorists.
Like animals, we were treated like animals. At first, we didn't know why we getting arrested until we got to the county jail.
Amar drives a truck for a Detroit, Michigan company. He was dropping off a load of auto parts at the Port of Miami Sunday when security raised the red flag.
We've been humiliated, disrespected, treated really badly, just because my name is an Arabic name and I'm a Muslim.
Monday, a judge dismissed charges against the 3, and now Miami-Dade police say it was all a misunderstanding, hampered by a language barrier.
Up to this point, due to miscommunication between gate security personnel and the truck driver, we believe there was a discrepancy in the number of people in the vehicle attempting to enter the Port of Miami. He was asked and he stated that he was by himself.
But you heard the 3 men speak fluent English. They say the language problem might have come from the port security guard. And what about the claim that Amar said he was by himself?
Which is a lie. He did not say that. Because me and him were sitting right there. And if he said nobody in the truck, how they can't see me sitting in the front seat? I was in the passenger seat. I must be invisible.
And Monday, more misunderstandings at the Port of Miami as a package set to load onto Royal Caribbean's Majesty of the Seas appeared to have tested positive for explosives. But in the end, the bomb squad exploded the pallet of box springs, telling us it was a false alarm. There were no explosives. Port of Miami security director says the 2 incidents do not show a negative trend.
Travelers can rest assured that there will be a decisive and a positive reaction in response to these types of potential threats.
And this morning, the Council on American Islamic Relations says it's calling for an investigation into what happened in the trucking incident. They're also looking into the possibility of a lawsuit. At the Port of Miami, Tiffany Helberg, CBS 4 News this morning.
It is 6:41 right now, and we have the video right here from a wildfire out west you really just have to see. At this hour, it's under control. That's the good news, but the bad news is it destroyed mansions in Malibu, multi-million-dollar mansions. CBS 4's Christina Penza live for us in Malibu now to show us what happened. Hey, Christina, good morning.
Good morning, George, and you can see the wind whipping around right now. That plus the low humidity gave firefighters quite a run for their money in putting out this fire. It is now 100% contained. And I'll tell you, this is Malibu. A lot of people would like to live here. It has some of the priciest real estate in the country. Well, today, some of those high-priced homes have turned to ashes.
And then, but you can see flames just shooting out of these beachfront homes, and firefighters doing what they can to contain it.
Santa Ana winds quickly swept the Southern California wildfire into an exclusive Malibu celebrity enclave.
It was an inferno, absolute inferno, just a wall of black. It was very scary.
The neighborhood is going to look pretty much like a war zone.
Even in the morning darkness, the beachfront community already did. The fire destroyed 4 multi-million-dollar homes and left 4 others badly damaged.
Well, I've heard some rumors, but I don't want to say who. You know, they are celebrity homes, and I've heard some names, but I don't want to put that out until we have authority to do that.
You see here what's left of what was once a beautiful beach house and the car that was parked in front of it. With the help of water-dropping helicopters, about 300 firefighters fully contained the blaze in a few hours.
I'm on Malibu Road right now. They said there's gas fires on Malibu Road and they won't let me come down the road.
Gas fires remained a concern throughout the night, but early on residents were evacuated and only one person was treated for smoke inhalation. Robert Brown, whose home was saved, says his mother was inside when the fire broke out.
Most important thing is that she's safe, that everybody's out, everybody's been evacuated, and everybody's safe.
A fire danger warning had been posted for much of Southern California because of gusty winds and low humidity. And this area has been declared a crime scene while arson investigators look for the cause. That is usual procedure for a fire of this nature. In Malibu, Christina Penza, CBS 4 News this morning. Back.
All right, Christina, thank you. Let's take a look at other news happening across America at 6:44. Authorities in New York City want to find out the source of that gas leak that forced schools to shut down. A smell of natural gas floated over the city yesterday, even reaching over the Hudson River into northern New Jersey. At least 4 schools in Manhattan were temporarily evacuated. The Department of Homeland Security says it was not terrorism. All right, take a look behind me right there. That gator was found lounging in a Florida pool this week. The 5-foot gator right here was discovered by homeowner Jim Loomis, who called in animal control, and you see there, animal control went to work grabbing onto that gator, came out of the water and rounded up that unwanted guest.
Now weather with Pamela Wright.
That is one of my biggest fears, and here it's not really that irrational, but anytime I go out the door, it's like, what's in there? All right, this morning, what's out there? A little bit of cooler air, and there's more on the way, so good stuff coming in for your day today. Let's check out the numbers. Here we are. Again, a little above the norm, but we've been so much above it that you'll feel it a little cooler this morning. 64 right here in West Miami-Dade, same at the airport, 67 in Fort Lauderdale, and while it is still 70 in Key West, you've been at 77, 78 the past couple of mornings, so you'll notice the change. Humidity's at 84%. We're watching the dew point temperatures drop, the moisture overall being bumped out, dried out, so that's going to feel good. And a northwesterly breeze is a big change, and that will be quite big today, in fact, blowing on in. All right, winds blowing out out west in the U.S. have been a big problem with the fires, of course. It is still beautifully clear and unseasonably warm as well, so that is going to continue to be a problem. Not a problem, but a change. A bit of winter again sweeping through the Ohio Valley, moving up towards the northeast. And meanwhile, you can see here the upper level winds are still drawing some clouds in over our state, and that may be the only downside over the next couple of days. The way this cool down will occur will be some clouds from time to time. But the temperatures, these are the forecasted highs across the country today. Very mild and nice, but again, pretty warm out west. Only 57 in Dallas today, only 28 in Chicago, and this reinforcing shot of cooler air will continue to especially affect the northern parts of our country. Look at this, into Kentucky and moving towards West Virginia today. Some snow up there, so it's been a while for everybody for this wintry weather. Now, our version of it will be here as well, and tomorrow morning you'll really notice the chill to start. Most of us staying in the lower 50s, but well inland, away from any ocean influence, you could find some upper 40s, so we'll want to dress for that tomorrow morning. A steady sea breeze for the end of the week, and in fact downright windy along the water, so that will be impacting you and your plans there. But just stray showers for the weekend and even the holiday weekend with Martin Luther King Day on Monday. Overall, looks like the warm trend will stay with us. 73 today, though, so with the sunshine getting through and the cooler air continuing to come in, we will be held down to the low 70s, so that's a big change for us. Nearly 10 degrees cooler than the past several days. Small craft advisory. This is not a good day out there with the northerly winds, and in fact, in the Gulf Stream, could see seas later today 8 to 10 feet. Nice and cool for all of us with the numbers in the 50s, but a few upper 40s well inland, so that is downright cold. So after our chilly start tomorrow, we'll stay in the low 70s, mid 70s by Thursday, and we'll slowly go back up to normal and a little above for the weekend. And overall, though, it looks like we will stay mostly dry. So good stuff.
All right, Pamela, thank you.
Yeah.
The time right now is 6:48. Let's go ahead and get a check of the roadways. Mark Tyler Henry.
Hey, good morning. Well, we're taking a look at 95 north and southbound right here around the Golden Glades interchange. You're getting a little bit sticky if you're heading southbound right now between 151st and 79th Street. Definitely want to give yourself more time. Also on the Palmetto eastbound, as you approach the Golden Glades right around Northwest 12th Avenue, got an injury accident there. It does have traffic backed up to about 17th Ave. Give yourself a little bit of extra time. The right lane is blocked, so a little bit extra time in that area is definitely not going to hurt you. I'm Mark Henry, CBS 4 News Traffic Control.
Well, many people who attended the electronics show in Vegas are now in the San Francisco Bay Area.
Yes, the head of Apple Computers, Steve Jobs, is set to make his keynote speech at Macworld today. Tech enthusiasts from all over the world are expecting Apple to unveil a host of new products. Some of them include the iPhone. That's a combination cell phone, iPod, and also a touchscreen video iPod. But the most anticipated product is called iTV, which displays Mac and iPod content.
It's going to work. That's the biggest thing. That's the biggest thing that Apple does, and that's why people are excited about the iPhone too. The company takes things that other people put products that work or are just good enough to work, and they make them work well.
Analysts say products like the iTV would seamlessly move Apple into the home entertainment market.
Lots of good stuff. 6:50 the time right now. Just ahead, a detective turns himself in, charged in a deadly hit and run. Who confronted him as he surrendered?
Fire in California destroyed several Malibu mansions. What celebrity pitched in to help?
And you can call them national championships winners. Thank you very much. We have the highlights of the Gators' big win over Ohio State in last night's BCS title game.
And don't forget, My 33 News on the Move is on the way this morning. It's something most mothers would never admit to. Danielle, you would never say it. Angelina Jolie is revealing her favorite child.
Is it Brad?
Coming up all new at 7 a.m., we're going to tell you if it's Maddox, Zahara, or little Shiloh. And we're also going to tell you why.
All right, before we leave you for a break, here's a look at your winning lottery numbers. Good luck, everybody.
Right now, over half our suits and sport coats are on sale, plus hundreds of pants, sweaters, shoes, shirts, and outerwear, 20 to 50% off. Now that's a sale. I guarantee it.
The Men's Warehouse Winter Sale.
See thousands of antique treasures at the internationally acclaimed original Miami Beach Antique Show in the Convention Center. Leading antique dealers buy here, and so can you. See you there.
Where do you go to get your taxes done? Instant Tax Service. Come see us at a participating Check Cashing USA through the April deadline. Instant Tax Service. Get your cash back fast. Don't wait. Call 1-888-753-1040.
When it comes to cashing your tax check, you want your money now. Not tomorrow or the next day, but right now. At Check Cashing USA, we'll cash your check on the spot. For a Check Cashing USA near you, call 888-616-3510. That's 888-616-3510.
I work for the future.
I work because I care.
Whatever your passion, Monster has the tools to find your match. Post your resume on CBS4.com today.
Monster works for me.
Sick of slow? Sign up for Comcast high-speed internet today and get this amazing offer. At ridiculously quick speeds, it's way faster than DSL and dial-up. Sign up today and start doing more things online faster. Just call today. Comcast high-speed internet. It's Comcastic.
I got breakfast.
Did you get a raise?
No, my treat.
Promotion? Bonus? Trust fund.
Try McDonald's new McChicken Biscuit. Tasty chicken on a tender biscuit, or the breakfast burrito. Then go back for the double cheeseburger or the McChicken sandwich, all just $1 each.
Must be nice having a sugar mama.
First came the hurricanes, then skyrocketing insurance rates. Now homeowners struggling to make ends meet.
It is hurting us tremendously.
Or dumped by their insurance companies.
I think it's terrible. I haven't made a claim since Hurricane Andrew.
As our new governor preps for special meetings to cut your insurance bills, CBS 4's Al Sunshine investigates the problem, offering solutions to help you cope with our hurricane insurance crisis. All this week at 5 on CBS 4 News.
I'm Jill Martin. Your official station for Super Bowl 41 is CBS 4.
Here's a look at your top stories right now. The Florida Gators are national champs. They dominated Ohio State in last night's BCS title game, 41 to just 14. Gators quarterback Chris Leak was named MVP, throwing 213 yards and a touchdown. Florida now holds the national championship in both football and basketball. And by the way, that's the first time that's happened at a Division I school. I had this morning on My 33 News on the Move in just moments, a live report from Gainesville where parties have gone on into the morning and what's expected later today.
Also in the headlines this morning, a Miami detective, a police detective, has surrendered on charges that he left the scene of a deadly hit-and-run accident. Detective Michael Aleon is accused of slamming his Lexus into the Chevy Blazer driven by 58-year-old Rylan Nye in Davie last October. Nye died in that wreck. Aleon was confronted by the victim's family but had nothing to say. He is also accused of filing a false stolen vehicle report to cover up the crime.
More than a decade after the shocking rape and murder of Jimmy Rice, his killer is pleading for a new trial. Juan Carlos Chavez will be in a Miami-Dade courtroom this morning arguing that he should get a new trial because his original defense team wasn't effective. In 1995, Chavez confessed to murdering the boy, even detailing how he dismembered the boy's body and sealed his remains in concrete. Chavez was sentenced to death.
A wildfire in Malibu, California is out right now. We are hearing high winds fan the flames, which, as you can see there, destroyed 4 multi-million-dollar seaside homes and significantly damaged 4 others. More than 300 firefighters and helicopters battled the blaze, which started at about 5 o'clock. Actress Victoria Principal was among the residents who rushed out of the house down to other houses. The good news, though, is that her house was not damaged. The bad news is 3 other multi-million-dollar mansions were. One person was hospitalized for smoke inhalation.
Those are some flames. 6:55 right now. Let's head right outside to traffic and Mark Henry.
Hey, good morning. Well, we're taking a look at 95 north and southbound around the Golden Glades. Now, your southbound lane's getting real heavy between 151st and 79th Street, and still got problems on the Palmetto eastbound going into the Golden Glades. Right at Northwest 12th Avenue, got an injury accident there. Backed up to Northwest 17th Avenue. 2 right lanes are blocked. I'm Mark Henry, CBS 4 News Traffic Control. We'll have more for you over on My 33 after 7 o'clock.
One last check of the weather with Pamela Wright.
Yes, what's out there?
Clouds this morning and slightly cooler air. We will have some clearing as the day goes on, but sometimes these stubborn clouds. With that, though, and the breeze that will come down, some clearing going on. We'll keep some high clouds about, but temperatures stay in the lower 70s, so that will be a big change. Tonight, we'll find a little jacket, nice and cool, lots of low 50s around, and with that clearing, we could even find a few upper 40s well inland, so that's as low as we'll go. That'll be a one-night deal. Slowly, as you see, temperatures warm right back up, but in a pleasant way, and our daytime highs, though, do stay below normal levels, at least for a couple of days, so we'll like that.
Okay, thank you, Pamela. The early show is next. Another local update in about 25 minutes here on CBS.
Now we go to My 33 News on the Move.
Yes, more fun. The chopper's in the air. Mark Henry be back with traffic. All sorts of fun stuff. Plus, all the dirt. See you in 2 minutes.
Take care.
You know who we are, but what do? We find buyers. You show your home and let us handle the rest. Our transaction team pre-qualifies buyers, negotiates the contract, and handles the closing. Why haven't you called?
Thanks, buy owner.
I got breakfast. Did you get a raise?
No, my treat.
Promotion? Bonus? Trust fund.
Try McDonald's new McChicken Biscuit. Tasty chicken on a tender biscuit, or the breakfast burrito. Then go back for the double cheeseburger or the McChicken sandwich. All just $1 each.
Must be nice having a sugar mama.
You gotta love this place.
Ashley Furniture Home Store, the fastest growing furniture retailer in America, is now open throughout South Florida.
We're gonna love this place.
Now you'll be able to purchase the #1 selling home furniture brand in America at true Ashley Direct prices. Plus, during our grand opening, you'll enjoy no interest until 2009 and next day delivery. This is one grand opening you can't afford to miss.
Ashley Furniture Home Store. Ba-da-ba-da-ba-ba. You're gonna love this place.
Better Business Bureau members like these pledge to stand behind their products and services, making it easy to find a company that you can trust. When researching companies, you'll want the Better Business Bureau's Buyer's Guide. Sponsored by
JW Insurance Services, Mother's Care Doula Services, Sunshine Home Services, MyOnSiteTech.com, Protective Shutters, Absolute Lending Group.
You can rely on members of the Better Business Bureau.
Oh, what's the rush?
I overslept. Where's my shoes? My purse? My wings?
Duh.
On me. My,
Breakfast?
Oh.
Well, that slowed you down.
The simple pleasure of Philadelphia cream cheese spread. Rich, creamy Philly is 25% less saturated fat than butter.
Where are you off to anyway?
Oh, there's this big white sale. The crowds can be hellish.
Philadelphia, a little taste of heaven.
Buy Owner has been evolving for over 20 years. Today, we find buyers, you show your home, then let our transaction team handle the rest. With Buy Owner, you could save thousands on the sale of your home. Why haven't you called?
Thanks, buy owner.
See how South Florida celebrates Super Bowl 41 on CBS 4.
Good morning, I'm Julie Chen. Malibu on fire. The California coastal community, popular with celebrities, was hit by huge brush fires Monday. 4 mansions were destroyed and several others badly damaged. We'll get the latest.
I'm Harry Smith. Iraq gun battle. Fierce fighting is underway in central Baghdad today as Iraqi soldiers, backed by U.S. troops and air support, clash with gunmen. We'll get the latest from Baghdad.
I'm Hannah Storm. Target terrorists. The U.S. also launched a devastating airstrike in Somalia against suspected al-Qaeda ringleaders. We'll have details.
And I'm Dave Price. Calmer winds. Those Santa Ana winds fueling the Malibu fires now expected to die down today, reducing fears of a flare-up. We'll have more early this Tuesday morning, January 9th, 2007.
From CBS News, this is The Early Show. Live from Fifth Avenue in New York City.
Good morning, everybody, and welcome to The Early Show. We're going to get the latest on those California fires and also the gun battle in Baghdad in just a moment.
Also coming up this morning, travelers who take a trip but get the shaft. Travel scammers are getting busy again. They promise you a great vacation at a bargain price, then they They dump you in a horrible hotel and charge you sky-high fees. We're going to tell you how to avoid the rip-offs.
And, of course, the big auto show is going on this week in Detroit. Automakers are showing off their latest designs. We're going to check out some of the hot concept cars and even some you can buy right now. That's coming up in this half hour.
Boy, those are nice. But first, we want to get right to our top story, and that is that damage